Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and this week over on the patch 10.2 PTR, we've got a massive set of updates, as yet another class gains a unique raid buff, which is a pretty significant increase to their overall utility. The Rogue and Demon Hunter classes continue to be the focus of this week's update, as the two are promised to receive a fairly big revamp as of the patch 10.2, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't expect even more improvements for everyone else. This PTR week is also quite significant when it comes to endgame content, as the Dungeon of Everbloom and the mythic emergency bosses are now available over the weekend, which provides us with the perfect environment to help us test all of these newest class changes, the same class changes that I want to highlight in today's video. But right before we do that, most of you guys watching these are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you want to get more regular content regarding Dragonflight 10.2 or any of the future updates going forward. One of the biggest updates this week over on the PTR comes in the form of a new raid buff that's given to the class of Hunter. Unlike others like mages, priests, and warriors who all come with their own unique raid buffs, or classes like demon hunters, monks, and rogues who come with a group-wide debuff instead, the class of Hunter is among the few that didn't come with any kind of unique party utility. Class tuning usually comes and goes, sometimes you're strong and sometimes you're not, so being able to bring more than just raw damage to the table helps you secure a spot when it comes to endgame content such as raids and dungeons. So to help Hunters gain a bit of a leg up, Hunter's Mark has seen a bit of a switch up, becoming a raid debuff which causes marked enemies to take 5% additional damage while they are above 80% maximum health. This allows Hunters to help their allies focus fire on priority targets while keeping Hunter's Mark movement limited. Hunter's Mark can be used freely on any target outside of combat, but now gains a 20-second cooldown when used in combat. The goal is to give Hunters additional utility without adding more rotational clutter. Ideally, you should have less need to move the Hunter's Mark around except within key situations. As of right now, Hunter's Mark is still on the global cooldown, and multiple Hunter Marks cannot be stacked upon the same target. It's safe to say that this new raid buff is going to go through a few more iterations before they settle in on the final product. But it is clear that they want Hunters to remain relevant within endgame content through some sort of a party utility. If you currently play a Hunter or plan on potentially maining one going forward for the 10.2, I would love to hear your thoughts on this change in the comments down below. Do you like the current implementation of the Hunter's Mark right now? And if not, what would you change to it in the future? And what adjustments are you hoping to see going forward over the patch 10.2 development? And besides a nice little boost to the class of Hunter, we have a whole new set of improvements to get to with this most recent 10.2 build, starting with the class of Monk. Specifically when it comes to the healing Mistweaver Monk, where their personal survivability is expanding, which could make them a little bit more reliable to play with going forward. Talents like Healing Elixir have become a passive bonus, which activates automatically as soon as a monk's health reaches below 40%, which gives him a bit more cover during critical moments. Expel Harm, which is often forgotten about, has seen a sizable boost in this build, with its healing increased by over 500%. And 25% of all damage healed is then expelled back to your attacker, which can result in somewhat significant damage gains at times. Talents that bolster Expel Harm like Strength of Spirit will increase its healing further by 30%, while Profound Rebuttal increases the crit healing component by 15 additional %, which overall could prove quite useful when it comes to increasing Mistweaver's personal survivability options during key dangerous situations. But we don't stop there, with spells like Enveloping Breath becoming 20% stronger and Rising Sun Kick hitting for 20% harder, which gives even more value to their fist weaving playstyle. Then we have talents like Calming Presence, which help reduce damage taken by 6%, which further amplifies their sturdiness. This build also boasts to have fixed the tier set 4 set bonus, which previously ignored nearly half of all monks' healing sources, resulting in some underwhelming overall numbers. So hopefully this week we'll be able to see for ourselves what monks are capable of and experience some of these new updates more closely during this week's endgame testing. Rogues have gotten even more defensive and utility options in this build, starting with my all-time favorite spec of the Outlaw, which has gained a little talent of precision shot, increasing the range of between the eyes and pistol shot by 10 extra yards, allowing you to fire from a 30-yard distance. Pistol shots also help reduce the damage you take from the target by 5%, which could place Outlaw Rogue as one of the tankiest melee in the game so far when you combine all of its immunities as well as all of its passive defensive options. Subtlety Rogue got talents like Exhilarating Execution, where a portion of the damage you deal from your finishers can either heal you or shield you when you are already at maximum health. Terrifying Pace helps you be quick on your feet when dodging mechanics within some crowded encounters. And Shadowcraft, which helps fuel you full of additional common points, has been adjusted in such a way where Subtlety Rogues are able to generate common points without wasting any of their precious combat resource. This week also brings us a pretty big rework for the class of Demon Hunter, featuring a pretty big restructure to the class talent tree, as well as even more changes for Havoc, as well as a spec for Vengeance. But to give Demon Hunters proper time would have made this video a bit too long, so an in-depth dive into the class of Demon Hunter and all of its revamps and changes probably deserves its own video, which is my next project for the channel. Enhancement Shamans have got a few new talents and adjustments to give them a bit more flexibility when it comes to build variety, which is always great to see. First of all, the talent tree has seen a bit of a facelift, with some of its nodes finding themselves into a different position onto the tree. Second, to help reduce the strain that some Enhancement Shaman experience with their combat rotation, new passive tools are being introduced to help you better control your overall flow. If you're not a fan of spells like Elemental Blast, you can always swap them out for Tempest Strikes, which will add additional nature damage to every Storm Strike, Lava Lash, and Ice Strike alternatively. Legacy of the Frost Witch will help increase your physical damage as well as your frost damage when spending Maelstrom, which works better with Ice Strike focused playstyles. And in a future build, Elemental Assault will generate Maelstrom from things like Ice Strike and Lava Lash, not just Storm Strike, to help you finalize your build possibilities. And outside of this, talenting into Primordial Wave and then further into Splintered Elements will cause you to gain 20% raw haste with every lightning bolt. Cleaving secondary targets increases this upfront haste buff by 4% per additional target, but the talent will serve you much better within smaller group encounters. Discipline Priests continue to make even more gains as of this week, specifically when it comes to increasing their overall damage output, which transfers directly into their healing department when paired together with the primary mechanic of Atonement. Talenting into Rhapsody causes your Holy Nova to gain its maximum stacks rather quickly, which allows for a bigger burst of damage and healing to foes and allies. The talent of Hard Discipline has shed its RNG component. Instead, casting Power Word Radiance causes your next penance to fire additional bolts of damage, stacking up to 2 times. This change allows you to better control when you can empower your next penance cast. And this change synergizes well with the ramp up windows within raids, where priests will spread their atonements on allies, usually finishing their spread with a few casts of radiance, then fire away their empowered penance to heal the entire raid. Also, Ultimate Penitent's God Mode button has seen even more buffs this week, with its damage and healing bolts of light magic now have increased offensive and defensive potency. And finally, we got Warlocks on standby, where Demonology continues to make additional gains. First, the talent of Soul Strike has been entirely redesigned, and it now teaches your pet the ability directly. You no longer control when your pet uses Soul Strike, rather they do it on their own whenever it is available. This in turn frees you from spending a global to get your pet to cast their Soul Strike. Taking Fell Invocation causes Soul Strike to deal a bit more damage and generate a Soul Shard like before, which allows for passive Soul Shard recovery. Alternatively, you could also pair Invocation with the Vile Fiend instead, which allows you to summon it quicker, and the Vile Fiend will spit fire damage onto nearby targets while it is active. The Demonology tier set has also gained a nice new bonus. Both the 2-set Doom brand damage now scales with target count, dealing additional damage when applied against a single target. The 4-set that summons Doom Fiend to his side has also seen a similar change, where his Doom Bolt Volley will deal additional damage when used against a solo target. I want to thank all of you so much for watching this video and hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. as per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.